So on our last video, we were showing that our cargo run, our cargo build, when we tried to build the code again, it was telling us that we had an error. And the error was basically telling us that our variable guess is a string, but our comparison that we're trying to do is for a number. So to fix that, we had to change our code. So if we go back and we look at our code, we didn't have this line in here. So I added this line. Let guess u32 equals guess.trim.parse.expect, so that it knows that now we have the guess variable up here that we declared, but now we're going to turn it into a number. So u32 is an unassigned 32-bit number. It's basically good for low choices and numbers, and we'll go over numbers and variable types more in later videos. But for now, let's just say that we're using the Rust ability to shadow the variable guess. And now we're going to turn it from a string into a number here by doing this. So guess.trim is trimming off the end of the line. So if there's like a new line character or something at the end of the input that the user puts, just trims it. Parse is telling us that we're going to take that guess variable and we're going to parse it into, if it's not a number, we're going to parse it and try to change it into a number. And if it's not a number, then we have our .expect that will tell us, please type a number. So to see this, we're just going to go ahead and save our file. We're going to do cargo run. And you can see now it builds without having an error message. So now it's telling us, please input our guess. So let's put our guess as 1, just to see what it says. Hey, you guessed 1, you win. Okay? So let's try this again. And let's try a higher number. So we can see the secret number is 14, so let's try 16. We should get that it's higher. And of course, if we do it one more time, our secret number is 11, so let's use 8 because it's less. We should see that it's less. So we know our compare operators inside our code is working properly. So now if we wanted to see what happens when somebody types a string in instead of a number, we'll just type in anything. We type in a word, any word, and we should break the program now. And we did. And if you see, it tells us that it panicked and it said, please type a number. So it's telling us that the input wasn't in a number format, it was actually a regular string. So now we know that our program is working properly. Our next part of our program that we're going to do is going to be now that we know that we're actually able to get a number, so the next part of our program is actually going to do a loop and through until we actually get the right number. So we'll go back and we'll modify our source code. Now, I brought up the source code, so we're going to go ahead and make that change to loop through until somebody makes the correct guess. I will be telling you guys to keep in mind that if you create a loop statement without a break statement, the command would just keep running over and over again, never stopping. And that's not really what you want. The only way you could really stop that is to do a Control-C. So we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is inside our code, we're going to change it for a loop here, and we're going to put that as after the secret number is. So we'll add the loop right here, and loop is a built-in function inside of Rust. We need a curly bracket for that. Okay. So now we're saying it to please input its guess. And now we want to close out our loop. So we'll add that right here. This closes out our loop. If you can see when we highlight this loop, it tells us just open curly bracket, just closed here. So that's how you can keep track of your curly brackets. So if I go down to this next one, where we're using our guess method, we can see that right here it's telling it to. Here's an open bracket, here's the closed bracket. So that way you know where you're at inside your code. It's just an easy way to keep track. I'm using VI, but later we'll use Visual Studio, which will actually help you guys out a little bit because it will call the functions that your methods could use. It just makes things a little easier. But for now, we're doing this the old school way to teach you guys the very basics. So like I said, if I ran this code right now, it's just going to keep looping through. It's not going to break. So let's just try this. We'll do cargo run. Okay, so we'll do 4, 2. We know the secret number is 9, so let's just say 9. Hey, what do you know it's going to keep asking us? There's no way out of it unless we do Control C. And that's not what we want. We want it that once we guess what the secret number is, we want it to actually break. Okay, so this is where things get to be a little bit fun. If we actually guess what the secret number is, this is where we want the loop to break and we want it to exit. So what we'll do is inside our order and equal, we will create a new, we'll create a new break statement here. So to do that, we need to actually bring in another curly bracket. Let's go back here. Okay. Print line. And then this is very simple. After we print the line, then we're going to actually tell it to break the loop. And that's it. That's all you have to do to break it. So let's try this out again. Cargo run. Uh-oh. I made a mistake somewhere. Unclose delimiter. So yes, we have something different here. So let's go back and fix my code. So if you notice here, I opened this up, but I didn't put a closing bracket. So we need one more closing bracket here. Because we have an open bracket, open bracket, open bracket, but we only have 3 closed ones. So our 4th open bracket needs to be closed, and this is our 4th one here. So we're just going to go down here, and we're going to close out our open bracket. And this should fix the error that we just got. Oh, I put a semicolon there, or a colon there instead of semicolon, so we need to fix this. So we need to go back to our source code. So what's happening here in our print line, we're telling it colon, but we're not actually ending the statement. We need to end our statement so that it knows to go to the next statement, which is break. So what we'll do is we'll just change that from there to a semicolon. Boom. Try it again. Now we see it works. So let's just do a lower number. It should tell us too low. So now we do a higher number. It should tell us too high. We know that the secret number is 5. So let's see what happens when we do 5. You win and the game ends like it's supposed to. Now I do want to go back to something here. So what I wanted to go back on here is the error message that we had before. It took me a little bit to figure it out. So if I had wanted to fix this really easy, I could have came in here and let's just put our error message back. Well, this is even better. This is a different type of error, but if we try to do cargo run again, it's not going to work. It's going to give us an error. You can see here that it knows that something's broken here, and it's telling us. But there's actually a different way you could do this, which is using ChatGPT, which I absolutely love ChatGPT. So ChatGPT can actually fix our code for us. So if I grab our code, okay, and I go into ChatGPT, I can say my code is broken for Rust. Can you tell me where? Okay, and then I'm going to actually put my code in here. And ChatGPT is going to try to find our error. So once ChatGPT read our code, it told us that there's a missing comma after the print line. And it corrected the code for us. So at this point, we could just copy and paste this code back in, or we could just fix our error since we know where it's at. And it's actually telling us what it fixed. And it actually found another typo for us. It found that I misspelled the word guess. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to fix our own issues here in our code. Like I said, we could copy and paste that in here, but we'll just go ahead and fix this. And I just wanted to show this to you guys in case you run into errors while you're programming. That ChatGPT is really helpful for things like this. And before ChatGPT, I would have had to read through a bunch of stuff to try to find where my error is. So that's very helpful. Now we did have one other problem here that I wanted to go over, and that was when we put a string in. So if I do my cargo run again and I put a string in here, any string, we can see that it actually gives us the error message instead of telling us to please type a number and try again. So in order to fix that, we're just going to add another part of change our code a little bit. So we're going to add something here to tell it that, hey, if it has an error, then give us the error message and then continue on. So let's go back and change our code again. Okay. So the part that we want to change is our let guess, where we say please type a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this from expect, where we say please type a number. We're going to take that off of there. And we're just going to close this out after the parse to say change a number. Okay. And now we're going to tell it to add some more functionality to this. So we got this here, so we're going to say okay, num. Okay, and if it's okay, it's a num. If not, then we're going to have error. And then we're going to tell it to continue. Okay, now I'm not sure this is going to work properly, so let's try this out real quick. Boom. Just what I was suspecting. I was suspecting there to be a problem with this. And it says it's suspecting one of these here. Okay, so that doesn't look right, so let's fix it. So it looks like the reason why is we didn't have a match here. We just told it to do an expect, so we need to change that. So if we go back into our code, and we want to change our line that we just changed here, so where we have our let guess 32, we actually want to tell it we want to match. So we're doing a match now. And this should fix this issue. If not, we'll put it in ChatGPT and ask us what the heck's wrong. Okay, so now let's try typing in a string. There we go. Now it's telling us, hey, that's not a number, try again. Okay. Boom, we win. Now I didn't actually like the fact that the error message came out the way it did, so let's see if we can change the error message. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask ChatGPT to give us a different error message, because here it didn't give us an error message, it just say, hey, try again, continue. I didn't like that. I actually know how to fix this, but let's give ChatGPT a chance. So we're going to say, we'll copy our code again. Okay, and let's go back into our ChatGPT. I'm just going to refresh ChatGPT to make sure it's still working. Sometimes when it has a high demand, it takes a little while to get going. So let's just see what happens here. When a user puts in a string, it just continues. I want it to tell the user that they need to put in a number before continuing. Let's change our word here because we misspelled it. Let's see. Then we input our code again. Now we'll let ChatGPT do its thing. So now we can see that ChatGPT is trying to fix this for us. And you can see here, it's basically telling us what it's doing here. It says to achieve this, you can add an additional check before the match block to ensure that the user input is a number. You can use the parse method to attempt to parse the input into a number, and if it fails, it prints an error message and then continues to the next iteration of the loop. And so it gave us the updated code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy their code. Okay. And I'm going to save our code that we currently have. I'm going to save it as backup.code. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and VI that source main rs. I'm going to go to the very top. I'll just do a